I don't know. Hello everybody. I'm debating on whether or not I should do this particular reaction video. It's from it's a video from Top Fives, and with the video being 5 most cursed religious and horror movie sets of all time. I'm a bit 50-50 about it, as you can guess. So because for obvious reasons, but I'm gonna react to it anyway. Link to the original videos in the description box if you wanna go watch it for yourself and like my commentary over it. Let's see how creepy this video is gonna be. There we go. There we go.
A curse is an appeal that is intended to cause misfortune and evil upon another person.
I'm gonna have to turn this up.
Now we've all heard of items being cursed, and even in trying to find them. What about movies? The average movie takes about a year to make, and in that time it's obvious there are going to be some hiccups and incidents that take place that you could blame on a curse. But there are some movies where more than your average case of bad luck has happened. Add this to the fact that all of these are about paranormal activity or religion, and you can see why people think that's... And you can see why people think that something...
Okay, so apparently we have a small hiccup. I may have to edit that out.
Didn't want the production to go smoothly. Now, I'm not saying these films did stir up evil spirits, but when you hear the story, it really does get you thinking. So sit back, hit those likes, and enjoy.
Oh wait, that's PhD. Oh,
The Exorcist. What better way to start this video than with The Exorcist, a 1973 movie that was one of the first of its kind to be released, that is loosely based on the supposed real-life demonic possession of a child called Roland Doe and his exorcism in 1949. The film caused people to faint in the cinema.
So it was 1949. I was actually thinking about this particular film as well. Literally earlier today, I was actually thinking about it, about this film. What year was the actual thing that the film was based on, and apparently it's 1949. Apparently.
Still considered one of the greatest horror movies of all time. So when you hear things that happened during filming, you would swear something evil was watching over and letting the people know that what they were making a movie about was not fictional. For starters, the set home of the McNeils was destroyed by a fire, but oddly, Regan McNeil, the 12-year-old possessed girl who the film is based around, was left completely intact. Then, in one of the scenes, the actress who played Regan's mum permanently damaged her back when her safety harness did not work correctly. The scream that she lets out in the movie is a real reaction to the pain. There were also very strange feelings of darkness on set that left the people involved wondering if they had made...
I can't even... There's actually one or two jokes to make about her back being broken, but I don't want to say it because that's not right.
...a mistake in making this movie. Then there are the deaths. 2 of the actors featured in it died before its release, and the brother of Max von Sydow, the man who played Father Merrin, also mysteriously died on the first day of filming. But the worst is the story of Mercedes McCambridge, the lady who provided the terrifying voice of Regan's demon. Life after filming was difficult, and his son ended up killing his wife and children before committing suicide. Now, we don't know the full story, but it's said that in his suicide note he was full of resentment towards his mother, to which of course people have linked to the demonic nature of the movie. To top everything off, in a complete fluke occurrence, The Exorcist post-production editing was done at 666 Fifth Avenue in New York City.
Oh, that's just creepy.
So it could all be a coincidence, but there are too many strange deaths and occurrences surrounding The Exorcist for you not to see why people still believe that it stirred up something evil.
Damn, I'm not surprised.
The 2012 film The Possession tells the story of a young girl who goes to a yard sale with her father and buys an antique wooden box. She destroys the hidden lock and opens it, releasing a malicious spirit called Dybbuk, an evil spirit from Jewish lore. The girl soon becomes possessed, and the film...
I'm not Jewish, but I am familiar with both the Dybbuk spirit and the Dybbuk box from the Jewish faith. and a Dybbuk is like a type of like deformed type demonic spirit that wants to be able to possess a person or something, and some Jewish people can actually um, actually have the knowledge and are capable of trapping a Dybbuk within a certain type of box known as a Dybbuk box. Because the Dybbuk box is basically like any form of box or old wooden wine cabinet that becomes like the that basically becomes like it becomes like a prison for the it's like a type of prison for the Dybbuk ghost or spirit to be trapped inside.
Who follows her father and his ex-wife of them trying to rid her of the evil that's taken over. It's all loosely based on a story from 2000 about an old wine box called the Dybbuk box that is currently owned by Jason Haxton that is said to have brought bad luck and tragedy to those who have owned it. Well, when filming for The Possession began in 2011, Jason Haxton asked the producer if he wanted to use the real Dybbuk box. He refused, saying he was scared of it, and actor Jeffrey Dean Morgan, who is a
smart guy for not wanting to use the real Dybbuk box. You don't use the real thing. No. Not unless you want to have bad luck.
Skeptic also agreed not to have it on set, as it was not worth the risk of causing bad luck or
Smart guy.
Shortly after rejecting the real box, strange things started to happen on set. Director Orban Eagle was stood underneath a turned-off neon light when it suddenly exploded without explanation. He said that of all the neon lights he's been around, never has one exploded like this without reason. Jeffrey Morgan said this happened several times, and there were also other things that happened that were...
The man there wearing the glasses, he actually plays as the dad, and I have been wondering if he happens to be the guy who played as John Winchester from the TV show Supernatural, because the guy there with the man with the glasses, he does kind of resemble the guy who plays as John Winchester from like season 1 and 2 of Supernatural, if that makes sense.
Weird, such as cold drafts and closed off areas and feelings of there being an invisible presence watching them. By the end of filming, the cast and crew were pretty freaked out, but the strangest was to come. About 5 days after filming had finished, a storage house in Vancouver that contained all of the props for the movie, including the replica Dybbuk box, completely burned to the ground. After investigations, there was no reason for how or why the fire started, and it's still a mystery to this day. So was it just a coincidence, or was the real Dybbuk box curse responsible?
Shouldn't be, because you need the real thing for it to happen.
Directed and produced by Mel Gibson, The Passion of the Christ chronicles the last 12 hours of Jesus' life. And despite religion being such a controversial subject, the film was a success and went on to become the highest grossing religious movie of all time. But making a film like this came at a cost for those involved, and there was believed to have been some kind of evil curse associated with it. Let's start with Jim Caviezel, the actor who portrayed Jesus Christ. He was physically harmed during the filming of some of the brutal scenes. He dislocated his shoulder, was accidentally whipped, and was also allergic to the heavy makeup he had to wear, which gave him headaches and skin infections. That sounds like your usual actor problems, but it gets worse. During some of the filming, Jim suffered from hypothermia and was also hospitalized with pneumonia. And how about this? He and the assistant director were struck by lightning. The saying is that lightning never strikes twice, but it did. The assistant director was struck again, but was not seriously injured. When the film was finished, despite Caviezel's critical acclaim for his portrayal of Jesus, his career stalled and he's not starred in any high-profile films since.
I don't blame him.
Playing Jesus wrecked his career, which was something Mel Gibson warned him about. Speaking of Mel, people have linked his meltdown after filming to the curse. As soon after the movie was released, his 26-year marriage was in trouble, he was arrested for a DUI and battled alcoholic addiction for some years later. Religion is and always has been a controversial subject, and many believe that when scenes and events are exaggerated to the extent they were in this film, along with violence and images of Satan, that you're asking for trouble. So was it all just a coincidence, or was something dark offended by the movie and was cursing those involved? What do you think?
I don't know.
The Amityville Horror. If you
Oh,
know
yeah,
anything
that's
about
an
the
old-
Amityville
that's an
Horror,
old
then you won't
story.
be surprised that the 1979 and 2005 film based on the paranormal activity at the Amityville house didn't come without its alleged curses. Now, if you don't already know about the story, it's said to be one of the most haunted homes in the world, after a man killed his father, mother, 2 brothers and 2 sisters there in 1974. While in the 1979 film, James Brolin, the actor who starred as George Lutz, the man who lived in the Amityville house and publicized his paranormal activity, has an encounter in the early hours when he was reading through the Amityville horror book. When he reached an especially tense part in the story, his clothes he had hung up ready for the morning fell to the ground. After this, he felt an eerie presence in the room and believed that there may be some truth to the events and agreed to sign up to the movie. Also, in 2005, Ryan Reynolds, who portrayed George Lutz in the remake, claimed while working on the movie, he would keep waking up at 3:15 in the morning. This was apparently the time that George Lutz would wake up each night, terrified after moving into the Amityville house, and it was also the estimated time that the original killings took place in the house. Now, Ryan has said that he doesn't know if it was a subconscious decision for him to wake up at that time, because he knew all about the story, or whether it was something that cannot be explained. In another incident surrounding the 2005 remake, just before filming got underway, the mysterious corpse of a fisherman was washed ashore very close to the set, and the original George Lutz unexpectedly dropped dead at the age of 59, just 4 weeks before the film was released. So were these strange events just a coincidence that could happen to any film, or was there something more sinister going on? What do you think?
No idea.
The Conjuring. In
Oh,
1971,
God, no.
the Parent family moved...
No. Just no. Wanna know what a creepy thing is? I'll show you though. I still got this thing. Yeah, I still got that creepy butt thing of Annabelle. So yeah, special guest feature, Annabelle the doll, from the Conjuring film.
Into a rundown farmhouse in Harrisburg.
Yeah, I still got the damn thing.
And more or less,
I need to
when
get
they moved in, strange things started happening.
You know, I need to get rid of the Annabelle thing.
Now, I won't go into too much detail because there is an in-depth article about it on the Top 5 website, but the family were believed to have been plagued by a dark being that took over Mrs. Perron, and it was attempted to be removed by Ed and Lorraine Warren, who performed an exorcism. Fast forward to 2013, and a film called The Conjuring was released that was based on the Perrons' experiences. But during its filming, there were several strange occurrences that scared the crew and cast, making them believe that paranormal beings were intervening. For starters, when screenwriters Chad and Corey Hayes started their research for the script, they would often have conversations with the Warrens via phone calls, but the calls would always have a lot of static interference and loss of connection that constantly interrupted their conversations. Lorraine Warren said this about it all. We're about to expose the dark side of the dark side, and it doesn't want good to win. I'm surprised there isn't a lot more interference. But the phone calls are just the start of the series of strange events. While sitting in his office late one night working on the film, director James Wan had a scary experience when his new puppy suddenly started growling at something. James turned around to see what his puppy was barking at, but there was nothing there. The puppy kept barking and was tracking something around the room, and James stated that he was so freaked out and realized that the story behind this movie was affecting him in a big way. When filming started, most of the Perron family visited the set, apart from the mother, who refused to go anywhere near it. When her family arrived, there was apparently a gust of wind that swirled around them, and at the same time, Carolyn, who was in Atlanta, felt a dark presence and fell to the ground, causing her to need hospital treatment on her knee. Then, shortly after this incident, the cast and crew had to be evacuated from the hotel they were staying in after it randomly caught fire. That isn't the end of the chaos on set though. The actress Vera Farmiga said she felt uneasy whenever she read the scripts and refused to rehearse them when she was alone or at night. Then the strangest thing happened when one day she opened her laptop and it had 3 digital claw marks slashed across the screen. She said she cannot explain it as no one had touched her laptop since she was last using it. After the film had finished, she had returned to her home and woke up the next morning to find 3 scratch marks on her thigh that were not there when she went to bed. She was pretty scared and cannot explain how they got there, but she said she was not going to let fear get the better of her. So were these events just a fluke, or was the apparent dark entity that had been haunting the parents returned after all those years, and targeted the crew and cast of The Conjuring? So there's 5 movies that are believed to have been cursed because of all the misfortune and strange...
Well, that was rather creepy. Yeah, don't go to haunted places. Just don't. If you want, it's gonna end badly. There's a chance it could end badly for you, and Like if you want to go to a haunted location, either either an old house, an old school, or an old graveyard or cemetery that's rumored to be haunted, and you want to go do a paranormal investigation there, do you. Just do you. That's your choice. But just as long as you be careful, okay? Just please be careful, okay? Because you never know what could go wrong. Either something paranormal or something completely normal that can happen that might cause you bad luck. You know, like tripping over, banging your head on something, you know, things like that. Anyway, this is 5 most cursed religious and horror movie sets of all time. It's by Top 5s. The link to this original video is in the description box down below. And yeah. If you enjoyed the reaction video, please hit that a thumbs up. And if you and switch on and hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications and whatnot. And until next time, goodbye for now.